change that. I just realized that I have a huge snafu here, Remington.
What is that? What's the snafu?
I do not have a beer.
Wow.
And it's not within hand's reach. I really need to have a fridge attached to my camera from now on.
That's crucial, Matt. That's crucial.
I feel like I'm letting down my viewers. Well, hello, everyone. It is the Listen to This Bull live show. My name is Matt Mulholland. That's Remington Huggins. And we do this show primarily to educate people in the insurance industry. And we like for you to participate in the conversation. We want you to ask questions. And so there's going to be the ability for you to put comments in. And if there's a good comment or a question, we'll bring it onto the show and we'll answer it. I don't care what the question is. We'll probably answer all of them. How many nipples do I have? I don't know. Let's find out. But
we need an exhibit for that
question. So let's make this a conversation. Today we have a fairly good show. I like the person that's about to come on. We kind of hit it off right away. She's really weird, just like me. So we get along just nicely. Morgan Walker with the APA is about to come on. And let's not say anything about her skin or hair or anything along those lines because she was very, very nervous. And I'm sure that she loves that I brought that up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We are going to talk about delay tactics. Hey, Morgan.
Hello.
Morgan, how are you doing?
Yes. Good to see y'all.
Yeah. So we're not going to talk about
face or hair.
Right. No. We're only going to be talking about.
Well, I made all that up. Okay, almost canceled last minute because I'm just having a bad hair day, which is totally false. So you bought it. So.
Oh, that's what it was.
It worked. Yeah.
No cosmetic exclusions. All right, people.
Yeah, exactly. Keeping the language appropriate.
No kidding. All right, so I am going to do the unthinkable and duck out for 2 minutes to grab a beer while Remington starts asking you crazy questions about your background.
Let's do it.
Oh, okay. Wasn't expecting that, and I'm ready.
No, it's completely fine. Last week, Matt left. Matt was gone for like 30 minutes. Don't let him slow down the show at all. But Morgan, you're with the APA. How long have you been with the APA? And tell me exactly what you do.
So I was introduced to the APA. My husband and I owned a roofing and construction company, and he came across them at their first event and decided to sign up, and I was not there. And so I was an upset business partner whenever he told me about his decision to support this organization that I was unaware of. So I was a skeptic at first, 100%. And so I sat back for a while and I really observed. I asked questions. And the first time I met Doug and Heather, after inquiring on so many levels, I still sat back and kept observing. And I saw the need from the perspective I had as a contractor and the everyday issues that were going on that were not being addressed and there was no recourse for. And so I started to devote my time and just volunteer it initially for 2 or 3 months. And then I started just getting more and more involved as time progressed. And then I came on officially probably about 2.5 years ago.
Okay. And Matt, you missed a little segment here. At first, Morgan, her husband, joined APA for the business roofing contracting company. She was a little skeptical. She didn't know if it was something that, I guess was worth the bang for the buck, if you will, lack of better terms.
Tyler gets into a bunch of weird stuff, so who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
Who knows?
But she's completely sold. She believes in what's behind the movement with APA and what's going on, and policyholders need this in the industry. And that's what I gathered from the conversation while you were grabbing a beer anyway, Matt.
Well, it sounds like you got all the bases covered.
Yeah, man.
I'm happy about this.
Yeah, Remington, how versed are you on our organization?
Okay. I don't know. On a scale 1 to 10, I would say probably a good 7.3, give or take. I can tell you this. I looked for Doug every day at RoofCon. And as soon as I saw him, I was going to make him take me over to the APA stand and sign up. I did not see Doug there. So therefore, I did not at that point in time. But Doug, I'm looking for you, bud. You personally contact me. You can text me. You can email me. You can call me, and I will sign up. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
The challenge. He will rise to the occasion, I assure you.
And we had Doug on the show, Matt, probably 2 months ago, give or take. And my God, I love the guy. And I've met him in person up at the Summit American Contracting Show where we were both presenting. Great, fantastic guy. But that's my challenge for him. So it's out there. We'll see what happens.
I have to answer
it's going to happen, and it might even happen tonight. So he might call you right now, and you might have to actually step away to fulfill your part of the deal. So
there you go.
I bet he does, actually. If
I
he
wouldn't doubt
doesn't,
it.
I'm going to drag you in myself. Question is, where's my hat? I normally show up with my hat. 2 reasons. 1, my wife is totally washing it for me because it's gross right now. But 2, I wanted to prove to all you people that I actually do have hair. I don't wear that hat because I'm bald. A lot of people at RoofCon this last weekend said that they thought that I was bald. And that is not the case. I think it's probably because I put that picture up saying that there was a bald section at this one table. So today we're going to be talking about delay tactics and how that affects policyholders and if there's anything that can be done about it. And this is something that's near and dear to the APA organization because they discuss this right after major CAT events. So what kind of things do you normally see out there?
Well, on the contractor side, I can speak from that perspective. Me and my husband served after Harvey hit. We actually relocated our family 100% for 2.5 years. And after seeing him go back and forth. And so after a hurricane, we saw the delay tactics being used in such a grand scale. It was very discouraging to us to see how it impacted so many homeowners, and especially in ways that a lot of people, especially the general public, don't get the opportunity to see. It's not televised. It's not marketed. The delay tactics have such a profound impact in a negative way, and they call it the storm after the storm. So it's the impact on these families and their homes that you don't see anywhere. And it has a lot to do with trauma. It has a lot to do with just statistics on how it has really taken a toll on every aspect of their life from the initial point of the damage. So,
Remington, on the legal side of things, how often is a delay tactic really obvious in a claim?
You know what, Matt, if you don't have a good advocate prior to, a claim going to an attorney, if you don't have a good public adjuster or some type of advocacy behind the policyholder, it's very prevalent. I mean, just is even with a great public adjuster that's just pushing, documenting emails to these inside desk adjusters to have some type of conclusion on the claim. And it just doesn't happen to the point where the file has to go to an attorney. And just to give you some context, Morgan, and this, like, I'm sitting right now in Atlanta. We have a either 1 year or 2 year suit limitations period. It's whatever the policy expresses. So sometimes when a public adjuster gets a file, the claim's already 6 to 8 months old. They're trying to get this thing pushed forward. They have no choice but to get it to an attorney to file a lawsuit. And I see it all the time. Coming up with the suit limitations. And Matt, that's like the first one issue that really comes to mind when it comes to me getting involved because I'm forced to get involved and there's, no other choice if they want to keep their rights under the policy. One other thing that comes up to mind is when there is a catastrophe, like Morgan stated, I see the quality once the file gets to me where it's just unqualified personnel that's really working the file. They're hiring whoever they can to come in and adjust these claims on these catastrophes. And I see that, and I see a difference between it being an isolated hailstorm versus, Hurricane Michael back in, 2018. So I see the differences. So that's just a couple things.
So, I mean, a lot of that probably has to do with the fact that it's a major event. I mean, you have so many losses that have to be investigated within a small amount of time. You have that first round of adjusters that go out and they barely write anything because the way that their pay works, once they write up to a certain point, it's pointless to continue writing. They're not going to make any more money. So why would they? They can make more money by doing more claims. Stop at that point and keep going. It's almost better sometimes for them to say there's no damage than to say that there is some damage. If they make the same amount of money either way, they might as well say no damage and not have to write the estimate. So there's a lot of issues there, and that definitely delays things. I don't know if that's part of the traditional delay tactic. A lot of this delay stuff came from the deny, delay, defend McKinsey model. And certain insurance companies apply this model to basically put gates up in front of people. If this many people have a claim and they put a gate up and say no, then a smaller portion will go through that gate and keep fighting. And then they put another gate up. And a certain percentage of these people will continue fighting. Whatever those gates may be, it may be different from insurance carrier to insurance carrier, but those gates are delays. They're there to delay the claim, deny everything, so that by the time everybody gets to the end, there's a much smaller portion of claimants that have made it that far that will actually get paid. And they know that they'll end up paying out less overall if they do this model. It's worked for years for several major carriers. And a lot of them are starting to do this. So it's ugly after a major cat event because some of these people are so destitute and homeless, and it's really heartbreaking, especially after a major cat event. So I know that you guys go in there.
And let me just speak on that real quick.
Yep.
They have that data. I mean, they know that it's all about the data. They know exactly what it's going to take. And so it's unfortunate that those tactics are used for financial gain instead of the betterment of the policyholders. That's what captured my attention years ago, that really ignited my passion to volunteer freely my time when I had 2 small children and running a business and doing multiple other things. I worked for free for months because I saw the disservice that this industry was doing to faithful policyholders. And so consumer advocacy is a huge realm that needs a lot of attention. So when you said those things, and I could tell just whenever you kind of stepped back a little bit and spoke the way that you did, how much did going into that environment during Ida, how much were you affected by that?
Well, not really during Ida, to be honest. I went out there looking for a lot of images and video of certain things that are generally said to never actually happen. And we did capture some of that, but I didn't stick around for very long. But I did get to witness a lot of devastation after Hurricane Michael. That was a hurricane that I went and I ended up working for a year and a half. And it's really surprising what they say no to and what they put someone through, especially in a state like Georgia where there's very little leverage and there's very few laws that benefit the policyholder to help them out in these situations. They really take advantage of people if they can. And it's diabolical. It's very evident there's nefarious practices involved, and there's people that are on upper echelons that have zero empathy. It's all about the dollar. And this is a very heavy episode, man.
Hey, Morgan, before we answer John's question, let me ask you this. Like, was there a specific instance or, that you saw that you said, okay, like, I need to be involved. I need, although I do have 2 children, I need to dedicate some time and help these policyholders. Was there like a specific story that you have that got you on that path?
So, I mean, there's two that come to mind, but the main one was mainly just meeting Doug and Heather and literally seeing what they had, the fight that they had been going through for years. And Doug being he's a bulldog, he is all about the fight. He was built and born and made for the professional title that he currently has, which he stepped down and resigned from a very lucrative, very amazing career to work for a nonprofit. And he took a huge pay cut, and he does it because of what he went through. And so to see him being displaced in the fight that he took up his sword to take on himself, and for all the people that he knows still to this day that are displaced, that was from his area, that will never go back home. Like, to hear his story and the whole process of the situation, that was the first time that I just was like, wow, I didn't know. I didn't know it was that grand. I didn't know it was that deep. And then I personally had a client of mine whenever I had my contracting business, and it was ridiculous. Like, the whole situation had gone on for way too long. We were, over 6 months in, 20-year architectural shingle, denied multiple times. Engineer comes out to do a independent analysis and formulate a report, and told me multiple times, I cannot even count how many times he told you, yes. And that it would take at least 2 weeks to get the report back. And so the whole time I'm super sweet, and I'm videoing the whole time, asking questions. Well, when we came in from out of the weather, I decided to take it upon myself to talk about the APA and how involved we are. Anyways, it really turned the tides of how that claim worked afterwards.
That's interesting.
And I don't want to paint a picture that is the case every time, but in that instance, I got a call 2 hours later, and they were overnighting the check and paid for starter. So, I mean, it's just, you shouldn't have to do that as a contractor. You shouldn't have to pull out those cards. But if I have it in my pocket, I'm going to pull it out.
I wear the hat. Not my hat, like the APA hat. Like, yeah. It's the only time I take my public adjuster hat off and put a different one on.
Yeah. I love that, because it's a fraud deterrent. We don't want to have to put people in prison, but we will. We want to create a precedence, and we want to hold people accountable and know that even when they just see, the APA logo, it literally changes the way people act, and it creates a precedence. It lets them know that they have an organization behind them that are willing to hold them accountable.
All right, we really got to get to some of these questions, or people will stop asking because we're.
Let's roll.
Oh, see, I can't even see any of that stuff.
I wanted to hear Morgan's story. It was definitely.
I know it's a good story.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's roll.
He's like, it's a good story. Let's move on.
Yeah, it's fine. We'll just ignore it for the rest of it. So, what about the SIU carrier side versus APA side? What does the carrier SIU investigate? Do you happen to know the question or the answer to this question, Morgan?
So the carrier side SIU?
Yeah.
So every insurance carrier has a special investigative unit. That's whether people know about it or not. And so the SIU unit is for the carrier. It is going after everybody that's not on the carrier side. So if they find just cause to go after fraud on their behalf, they are going to protect their best interests. And so the APA's SIU unit is the first ever special investigative unit that is actually for you. You actually now have a special investigative unit built with some of the top legal minds and histories of investigatory fraud against insurance. And why are you laughing?
They're totally legendary. Yeah, let's keep.
What
in the world?
There's probably some comments that are coming through. Hey, don't pay attention to Matt. You just got to roll with it.
I'm like,
okay?
he's
you got to
He's
go.
on his
Okay,
zip
don't
anyways.
Don't worry about it.
The APA has the first ever actual SIU that represents the people. So SIUs on the carrier side, they represent the carrier flat out. That's
What
it.
people don't normally realize is that for most departments of insurance, they don't have their own investigation unit. They count on the carrier's investigation unit to turn in information. So if the carriers are the one that are providing all the information, obviously they're not going to provide information against themselves. So the departments of insurance, they don't necessarily know. Yeah, there might be money involved, but they don't necessarily know that there is any fraud going on their end. So the fact that this exists could definitely open some eyes. I know that there have been a lot of discussions with the APA and many attorneys general across the nation that make the attorneys general realize that there's a lot to this. There's a lot more to this than they ever realized. No one's ever really brought it up to them, which sucks that that's true, but at least it exists now. So anyway.
Absolutely.
If only we could get back the cost incurred and closed it. Yes, if only. That would eliminate all the delay tactics. At what point could a delayed claim be considered bad faith? Remington. The second it was delayed, I guess? Is that the answer?
That is a loaded question where I need a fact pattern, that's what's going to help. But I feel like to the point where the claim should have been reasonably paid. In this particular claim, whether it's a hurricane claim, hail, pipe burst, fire, whatever it might be, throughout the sequence of this business, let's just say State Farm, it was paid within the first 3 months, 9 out of 10 times. But this one particular claim, is pushed. It's in there's a new adjuster on it every 3 weeks, and they're trying to catch up with the file, and it's push to the point where, somebody needs to hire an attorney and they're forced to go into legal action, go into litigation. I mean, that to me, that's bad faith. But here is just, a quick 2-sentence is when a claim should have been paid and it was not paid. That's bad faith, when it's just clear, and there's 2 sentences for you as quickly as I can put in bad faith. But I mean, guys, there's 3,000 page books on bad faith. So I'm just giving you the quick little brief of what it should be. Because like when I get a claim, and when I get a claims file from a carrier and it says that there's hail impacts and they don't pay for it and they were forced to hire me, that's bad faith.
I'm writing down that quote.
Do it.
When a claim should have been paid and it was not paid.
That's bad faith.
That shit is bad faith. Did you say shit?
I said poop, Matt. I said poop.
Okay. I'm quoting you as saying shit. All right. Gabby. Gabby came to our Florida public adjuster course recently. Actually, most of the people that have sent something came to one of our NCI courses. Low pay equals low quality, limited experience on estimate writing. Good adjusters can't afford work for the carriers anymore, so the good ones are becoming PAs. What's really interesting, and you brought this up earlier, when you find an IA that gets just fed up with the carrier bullshit and they cross lines and they join the dark side and they become a public adjuster, and then they really start to see how much bullshit there is, it's amazing to watch their eyes get real wide when they can't understand how much crap insurance companies are giving to policyholders. It'll blow your mind. All right, we're going to get to a few more of these. And what can a contractor member do to help or support the APA other than just join?
This is a Morgan question right here.
Be weird if you answered it, Remington.
So there's many ways that you can help support. So the best way would to be reach out to me personally, and I will just ask you a few questions on your interests. And Doug has a executive directors list that he has compiled so many executive project lists that he has had for about 2 years plus on things that the APA is wanting to do, wanting to accomplish. We just haven't had the bandwidth thus far. So we're wanting to really reach out to the people that support our organization. There are many, we have a collaborative of amazing minds. Like some of the most amazing people are huge supporters of the APA, board advisors and professional members. And so we're really at a place where we're trying to tap into their talents and utilize whatever resources they have and time that they have, because some people have a lot of time and some people don't. And so we really want to connect with those people that want to get more involved and see how we can use them to put them on different projects that they're interested in.
Can you guys decipher this?
Snakes, people, corn. People of
There's
the corn.
totally a farm involved.
Yeah, people of the corn. They're snakes. Snake farm.
Ah, pretty good, pretty good.
People of the corn, snakes. Yeah, okay,
People
I got
of
you.
the corn. That's what it was. Right.
Full circle.
People of the corn, eaten by snakes. The next Samuel L. Jackson movie.
Yeah.
Can an engineer be given information, previous scopes of work from the carrier before they come out to conduct their inspection? Because it sure seems like he had the scope. Or should it be impartial? Because I had an engineer ask me last week on a wind damage claim, hey, I don't care, but is this shingle discontinued? Yeah, I don't see why they couldn't be given information. Why? The point of an engineer is to find information and come up with conclusions from that. If you're just withholding information from an engineer, hoping that they'll go into it in an unbiased fashion and then come up with all that same information, I mean, what if they miss it? Now you've wasted time for the policyholder. You might be causing the delay tactic at that point. Yeah, if the shingle's discontinued, send information to the engineer. You can do that prior to them showing up. It doesn't really matter. More information is better than less.
Well, and that's why
Most engineers like that.
Well, we address this so many times and so many things that we've written up about documentation. Like it is so, you can never over document, even being prepared as a homeowner, it is homeowners, generally speaking, they're not in this industry. They don't deal with claims every day. So majority of the time they don't know any better. So educating policyholders on how best to keep documentation organized, especially in natural disaster zones, and homeowners to be organized, we talked about this the other day, Matt, about how, educating them on what the claims process even looks like, because there's really not that education out there. The knowledge is power. So the more knowledgeable they are about the insurance or about the process in general, the better prepared they are.
All right. When you are out on site giving information, you guys do a lot of town halls and things like that right after a major CAT event. You've got the United Survivors disaster relief is often part of the relief effort that's out there. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know that this is something that the APA is somewhat involved with. Well,
they are completely two different organizations. I want to make that very clear. There's no affiliation there on business-wise whatsoever, or organization-wise. But it was, yes, there is some commonalities because it was established years ago by survivors of a natural disaster. So it is, and Doug and Heather have had a huge influence in that. They're founders of it. And it's a lot different than a lot of disaster organizations out there. And so it's not a huge charity. Nobody is on salary. There's the money and the donations are completely tax deductible. It goes straight to the people. And it's all about volunteering. And so, yes, it might have some of the same people, but it is completely different. But they are absolutely boots on the ground. And the structure is really unique in the fact that they actually take previous disaster victims and they bring them in to the disaster zones to distribute and to have a one-on-one boots on the ground experience with the people that are experiencing at that moment, because the best way that you can heal from trauma is to be able to serve those that are going through the same or similar traumas. And so it's very healing. And I can speak from personal experiences in different way. I advocate for a lot of things that I personally went through. And I'm a huge supporter of educating people about it and calling it to the surface, because those are traumas that I went through. And so it's very unique in the fact that also they have a main mission focus to go into the most heavy hit and impoverished areas in each one of these places. So they also do not deliver the resources to like donation zones. They give it actually to the people right in front of them. Like they deliver it to the person. They don't drop it off at these huge corporate headquarters where they're, accepting donations. They actually go into the worst areas. They actually get to these areas that have been hit, and they'll ask the locals, where would you not want to go or feel unsafe or, not feel like you're in the best area. And then that's where they take the resources. So
it sounds like there might be some bullshit involved in some of these corporate areas that you're talking about. I know you don't probably want to talk about that, but you just brought up an interesting point. If someone was to donate money to some of these larger donation places, is it likely their money isn't really going to go to the people that need it most?
I would just encourage any of the viewers that might pique their interest to do your due diligence and do some research, because there's some really eye-opening articles and facts about that very issue. So I will not speak to or for or from or back or forward about it, but it's just like the concept of insurance. You don't know what you don't know. Majority of people don't know that insurance carrier fraud occurs frequently. Just
Often.
just like all fraud occurs. It occurs on all sides. So that same mind concept and the same premise is applied to that as well. So that's why this organization was formed, because of that very reason. So
did you hear the bullshit too, Remington? There's definitely something there. I feel like if I was an investigative reporter, maybe if I ran a channel called Listen to This Bull or something like that.
I think there's a huge market for that.
Yeah.
If you can survive. So.
Yeah. They probably have some assassins. I think that's what Morgan was just trying to say.
Well, not necessarily, but.
Right. Survive it. Right. It's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Back to some questions. I phrased that poorly, probably because of my several hazy IPAs. Hazy IPAs, by the way, are disgusting. All right.
I don't like them either.
What's wrong with you people? I think the carrier gave their engineer the first scope, which said no wind damage existed. Engineer was being sent out to assess wind damage. We are headed to appraisal. Most likely as the shingle is disco, and there are clearly 3 to 4 shingles with torn masks from a recent 85 mile per hour windstorm. Yeah.
Matt, let me say this about engineer. I think they're crossing the line when they're talking like when the engineer knows the coverage decision, right? Because there are some times when the engineer goes out prior to coverage, but there's a ton of times when the engineer goes out after coverage has already been determined. When somebody asks for a reinspection, they say, "Okay, well, we got this guy from Hague or Donan that's going to come out and take a look at your roof." If they know the coverage decision, and they see, oh, there's a cosmetic exclusion. Oh, well, for some reason, cosmetic is in the report. That's crossing the line. I don't know. I get passionate about that stuff because when I depose them, I hear this stuff and I read between the lines, and it frustrates me. But I'll leave it at that.
I'll give you that. If they are given information in that format, a lot of times, and I think this probably has a lot to do with the APA and their success against some insurance fraud in the past. But if an engineer isn't specifically told what it is they're supposed to be avoiding saying, but they're given a little bit of information that could tip them off on what to avoid saying or what to say, They might take advantage of that. I've definitely witnessed some pretty awful things along those lines. The original statement made was about whether or not someone should let the engineer know that the shingles are discontinued or something, and whether or not damages should be provided to the carrier. So if the policyholder is the one that's supposed to present the damages as a matter of their conditions of their policy, I think that that's absolutely necessary, and you should do that. But you're right. If the carrier gives their initial decision and it's a negative decision, providing that could be construed as an attempt to coerce the engineer into making an interesting decision. That would be difficult to prove. You probably have to be some kind of a badass lawyer to do that kind of a thing. Probably like Michael Turner or something like that.
There you go. I'll let Mike hear that tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll like that.
So there's an affiliation, I'm guessing.
IPAs are men's versions of a pumpkin spice latte. Yes. I snorted a little. That's great.
I was going to say, did you just snort? I'm pretty sure you did.
I did.
So while we're on the topic of, just because this applies, APA has recently launched their AEREP, which is the APA's Engineering Report Evaluation Program. It's a web-based diagnostic tool that you can feed engineer reports into, and it will tell you where to look to capture dishonesty, unethical engineering, or criminal fraud. And so this was a project that I was involved in on the back end, helping with the coding and stuff. I know it's crazy, but either way, nonetheless,
it's cool. It's really cool.
No, it's not.
It really is.
This tool is cool. Like computer programming is not cool, in my opinion. But to each their own. To each their own. Okay, let me have a moment. Okay, so so anyways, this tool was developed by one of our board advisors. His name is Don Wood. He is an amazing individual. Awesome. I care for him a lot, and he actually donated this resource to us and helped design it. And he wanted to give it away for free. This is a huge resource for everybody in this industry to be able to really, because not a lot of people, especially homeowners, know how to read an engineering report.
If you guys don't know who Don Wood is, he's about the most awesome old school PA I've ever met. His kid is John Wood with Green Klein and Wood, the guy that wrote a book on artificial intelligence. You can imagine that some of what he put into this program was pieces of things that use machine learning to really help establish whether or not something is likely to be a problem. As this program continues, as it gets used, it's going to improve. And I think it's cool. It's just wicked cool. And Don Wood is a freaking genius. So.
And that's just the start of it. Like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Like this company or this organization.
They only gave us the tip.
Stop it. So this organization is comprised of so many amazing minds, and you just spoke about a couple of them. And so they come together underneath this platform of advocacy, and it brings them together. Remington is having a hard time keeping it together. And it's just so amazing. And I see from the back end, everything that we work on a daily basis. So a lot of people don't get that luxury, but it encourages me so much in so many ways, what all this organization is turning into to further educate people and advocate for the consumer.
Here's an interesting question. Why isn't the APA promoting to the public more being a policyholder advocacy?
So, Anthony, I'm so glad that you just touched on that point. We just officially, I think this is the first time we've actually publicly even talked about it. A few weeks ago, we have, before I say that, we haven't, any one of our associate members which is the free membership for all policyholders that just contains information on how best they can protect themselves, which is free. Again, we haven't put any effort and energy into that. Any kind of associate member we have right now has just been organic. And we haven't had a lot of ability to put a lot of efforts and energy into that. But right now we can officially say that we've launched our 501c3 sister organization that will run right alongside the APA, and it's called the American Policy Resources, so the APR. And so it will be tax deductible donations, which the APA is not able to have. And then it will be able to apply for grant funding and also be a powerful tool for educating prosecutors, elected officials, and consumers that insurance fraud happens. And then also it can be used to fund billboards, radio, and also sports television spots thus far. And so the way the APA was organized, we weren't able to do that. And so that is just taken place over the last few weeks. And so we will be putting more effort and energy into that as well.
He follows up with, I would like to help to share your message to the public with our new project. Was he a part of it?
Yes, I do believe so. Yes.
Oh, he's such a shill.
Why?
Matt just likes to loosely throw that word around.
Okay, good.
You know,
Isn't that kind of a derogatory word?
You know,
Isn't that kind of derogatory?
Hey,
you could think of it that way, or you could think of it as a way to gain a hell of a lot more business, apparently.
Anthony, reach out to me and expound on in what way you're talking about. So, and then I will share Doug's list with you as well, and we can see if you want to get involved on a grander scale.
Yeah. I met with Anthony over the weekend. He's a good dude. Our coalition. If it's all caps, do you have to scream it?
I mean, maybe. I think that it gives.
How would you read that out loud in your head, Morgan?
Coalition!
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah.
I don't know.
I like it.
that just made my night. That was great.
So just like Remington earlier, you were getting like passionate and riled up. So this is what the APA does for me. Like I carry this flag everywhere I go. I talk about it just naturally. It's just when you see it's just I feel that it's just that red-blooded American in me. Like when you see injustice, when you see wrongful doing that is not be held accountable, like I'm going to pick up my sword and fight. Like that's just who I am. And so you either see it or you don't. And if you don't, no harm, no foul. But it takes an army.
All right.
Sure does.
So let's pull this back a little bit and start talking about what people can do. All right. So we've established there's a problem. We've got all these organizations involved. We know that there are some processes in place if someone has an engineer report with the APA. But as far as a delay tactic goes, trying to associate that or send in information to determine if there's fraud related or not might be a little bit difficult. Might be necessary to get an attorney involved in those. But what if you are part of the insurance carrier and you are part of that problem and don't want to be, but you are getting paid and there's no way for you to do anything? I want you to know there are some whistleblower programs out there that can help you tremendously to get us information in an anonymous fashion that doesn't risk your job. And all you have to do is give us information. We want it. Let me premise this. I didn't say this before. I am a part of the APA. I am a member. So when I say we, that's what I'm talking about, not listen to this bull. Though if you send it to me through listen to this bull as well, I'd also get it through to the APA. If you are an insurance adjuster and you're sick and tired of your carrier making you do things that seem unethical and wrong, we could use that information. It could help people. You don't have to quit your job. Just help us help the people. What else can they do? Any other ideas?
Are you asking Morgan and I?
Yeah, pretty much. Trying. Yeah.
No, I mean, it needs to be awareness, right? And like you said, I feel like your example was tailored towards maybe like an IA or an engineer that typically works for an insurance company, and they should come out and say some things. I've seen some of my good friends used to be IAs, and I'm saying as recent as 2 years ago. And I've seen memos sent out to all these IA firms from the carrier stating that this is covered and this is not, although it's a gray area. I mean, things like that. It's insane that it's actually going on, because people that are not involved in this industry don't understand that this is actually going on, right? You're in great hands, and all this other stuff. I mean, that's what they buy. And I'm gonna piggyback of what Morgan said. Like, this is not for the lighthearted. I don't care if you're a contractor. I don't care if you're with an organization that's advocating for a policyholder, a public adjuster, or an attorney. I mean, you're fighting against the big boys, and you better be ready to fight. Like, the red blood American, you better be ready to go, because it's there, and you got to be that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if a policyholder were to send, let's say a policyholder, possibly a contractor or a public adjuster, were to send information about delay tactics to the APA, is there anything established or ready to go there? I know that the APA would love the data, but is there anything there that would help them tremendously right away? Or should they really be seeking the help of maybe a public adjuster or an attorney?
In that regard, we're still building on that foundation. As far as that database, our main mission focus thus far has been the SIU and the prosecuting of the criminal fraud on a grand scale. And so that's one of our things on our list that we're putting more resources into. So right now, I would definitely suggest that they go to the people that are readily available right now to help as on the ground, to keep them from having to make bad decisions moving forward. But we definitely need that data for sure.
So even if they're going to send it to an attorney, it might be a good idea, just because the APA is collecting all this information, and the more information they collect, the more data points they have, the easier it is for them to uncover systemic issues, patterns. When I was handling 3,000 claims a year, it was really easy to see patterns. It was easy.
Yeah. I would suggest across the board. So we need in all 50 states, we need to know what's happening in every single market. And that will give us the information that you just spoke about. It will give us more information about data and be able to point out patterns of behavior. And so I suggest always submit a report with the APA and their SIU unit, and then take further action. Because most of the time that's not going to go, on a criminal or like a prosecuting level, but the information is still gravely needed.
That data is vital. You can if you can see the patterns, you can see where the carrier is going. It made a huge difference for my firm. I know that most public adjusters that take a lot of information and actually put notes together, if they get to the point that they're doing that kind of thing, they're pretty good, and they're usually doing large loss only, and then they don't have as many claims. So it's rare to have. Okay. All right. Good point, Remington. You didn't have to talk. I knew what you were saying. Yeah. Large loss only. Can attorneys use the engineer report tool with redacted client information?
Is that a question to Morgan or I? Hey, how about this? Do attorneys use that tool with the reports that they receive from the carrier? That
is a question I'm unsure how to respond, but I really do feel because we've talked about public adjusting firms submitting documentation with redacted personal information on it to use for data points. And so I think I don't want to respond inappropriately, but I think that if personal information is not there, I don't see a problem. But do not quote me on that. Let me make sure. I don't want to speak out of turn. And Clint, if you could reach out to me or follow up with that one to get a hold of me, I will address that personally. But the more data, the better.
Clint, this is probably one of those things that public adjusters can do, but attorneys can't.
Okay.
We have a much stronger license than you do. So the APA gives us the authority to redact our documents, probably not attorneys.
And Clint, if you don't know Matt, it's
Sarcasm.
a little sarcasm there.
Little
I can tell you this: when Doug hits me up, whether it's by text, email, phone call, and I join the APA, I'll probably be using that tool.
Yep. Right there.
All reports are anonymous and confidential. That's good news. So, the attorney said the attorney-client privilege, right, Remington?
Absolutely. It's number one rule there.
Has anyone ever told you that they murdered somebody?
Me? Yeah, but it wasn't my client. It was a friend.
So you could totally tell anybody you wanted then. That's kind of cool.
Just joking, guys.
It was my wife. We give up material info to our customers. If the APA had homeowner-focused info, I would absolutely include it with our job folders we leave with our customers. Is that something you guys have?
Yeah, encourage them to become a part of the APA. Whenever I had my contractor's hat on, I would always, whenever I sat down with my possible clients at the table when we're talking shop, I would always talk about the APA and encourage them to be a associate member, which is absolutely free. And so, in that membership, John, they will get those resources. And it's another huge opportunity for you to advocate for them and to educate them that there are those resources. So, and they have, when you're a member, you have PDF forms that you can print out and have in your, I used to have it in my pitch folder or whatever, and I would just have a printout of it that I could leave with the customer as well.
Cool. Doug is totally checking in on you and thinks
he is. He's creeping. He's creeping.
He's really nervous that you're not going to say the right thing over here, I think. Poor guy.
That's why I have my notes.
She's doing very well, Doug.
I don't think he's nervous.
The APAassociation.org/resources. That's where you can find a lot of that documentation. There's actually quite a bit there that's really good and useful. And thank you, Doug, for posting that. I will also have that information in the notes section on YouTube after the show to make sure that everything's available, clickable.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. They're ever evolving that aspect of this organization. So this is what you see there. It's just going to keep growing, and rightfully so.
Just the tip. Free literature for policyholders and professionals. There you go. All right, we don't have any more questions. This is weird.
Doug, do you not have a question?
Doug probably has lots of questions about what's going on.
But just don't ask him.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, you and I talked about this when it comes to the delay tactic, and I know that's kind of the theme of today's conversation. But I have, and again, I'm just going back, I have a really good friend of mine. I know he's a good friend of Matt's, who used to work for insurance companies, and they used to have seminars showing the statistics of delaying a claim and the amount of money that's needed to pay out from the beginning versus 3 months in versus 6 months in versus 12 months in. They actually show this data to their adjusters. It's just mind-boggling to me. So I just wanted to touch on that. I want people to know this, and I'm not saying any names or any of that, but this is coming from the horse's mouth, and it's crazy.
They tell the adjusters that they have to turn in their information by X date. And they know that the adjuster isn't going to do it until right before that deadline. And that is one way that they tell the adjusters to delay the claim without telling the adjusters to delay the claim. They just leave their deadlines so far out that it's natural human nature to just delay it as much as possible. They have too much going on. Most adjusters are completely overloaded. They meet their deadlines, and that's about it. And they work off their deadlines, and that's where the deadlines are. And there's a benefit there. They also will, if you're getting close to the suit limitation period, let me know if I'm wrong about this, Remington. If they're getting close to the suit limitation period, and it's likely the policyholder is going to have to sue to get paid, will the insurance adjusters start opening up and making the policyholder feel like they're going to start working with them suddenly?
I can't say on every single claim something like that occurs, but I can tell you this. I've seen it where it has been certainly a theme or just a business practice. And there's case law on it across, I'm not going to say 50 states because I'm not licensed in 50 states, but the states I'm licensed in, I see case law on that exact point where they act like they're about to open up their checkbook and make a payment on the claim. The suit limitation expires and then that thing closes. And so I've seen it where it's called tolling the suit limitations period. But yes, I have seen that, Matt, multiple times.
I've personally witnessed this. I've been swindled by it. I have accidentally screwed policyholders by saying, I don't think we need to sue. It seems like everything's going our way now. And we get past that suit limitation date because everything seems to be hunky-dory. They're finally accepting information. I seem to be working with an adjuster that seems reasonable suddenly. We get past that suit limitation date, and sure enough, they shut back down again. It's happened more than once to me.
So do you think that y'all are isolated incidences, or do you think that this is prevalent across the board?
I've seen it after I was screwed a few times on this. I started witnessing it, and I would see it happening, and we made it part of our SOPs, all good adjustments, to be cognizant. They're going to do weird things around those suit limitation dates, but they loosen up at specific intervals. It's about the time that people start getting pissed off, and they get loose right around 90 days because psychologically people think things have to happen by that time, and they make you feel good for a week, and then they tighten back up. And then 90 days later, there's cycles. It's psychological. They use psychology. They probably have some crazy Dr. Freud's working for them somewhere. It's insane what they can do, but they definitely play with people's assumptions and people's attitudes and their beliefs. Ooh, I like this question. Is the APA willing to offer a course through NCI? Funny you should ask that.
And for your viewers out there, NCI is National Claims Institute, just for everybody.
The National Claims Institute is something that Remington and I are a part of.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it. I'm just kidding. That's my sarcasm.
The National Claims Institute is
I knew about it before it was even public. So
that's true. She gets all the good information from me.
I do.
She fed me a beer once and took me to a race.
Yeah, it was like 24 hours before it was public, so I don't feel that special. So, yeah.
Anyway, there's a list that Doug has published to all of its members trying to get people involved a little bit more in the APA, even if they can't just pay more money. It's having involvement. They need more manpower. And part of that is to develop courses that can benefit APA members, which is something that I volunteered for earlier today. So I don't know if it'll be offered through NCI, but there will be some courses developed that are going to be specifically for APA members to benefit APA members that I'm going to be working with. And there probably will be a little bit of intertwining of NCI and APA there. We'll see how that works out. Depends on what the topics are going to be. But yeah, very good question. Very good question. Where are we? Suddenly we have a ton of questions. Is the APA interested in small residential fraud scenarios or more focused on wide disaster zone areas?
John, I'm so glad that you asked that question because fraud occurs across the board. It is more prevalent, yes, in disaster zones, but when I put my contractor hat on, I saw it like frequently. And so we are concerned with fraud across the board, whether it is small or large, concentrated or spread out. We want to know about all of it.
Yeah. I mean, again, data collection is important. There's a lot of information that needs to be compiled in order to be able to witness and observe patterns and systemic behavior. Anthony was answering, yes, we have courses on the shelf. And you guys have been looking at possibly having some of them approved for CE credits. As members, you might be able to get your CE credits, CLE credits through the APA soon.
Yeah.
Look
And
into
Doug
it.
will actually be speaking at IRE for the first time. We won't just have a booth in February. He'll actually be speaking and at a breakout session at IRE, which is huge. And I'm very thankful for that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
APA is here to defend policyholders, whether it's an cat zone or small one-off losses.
Yes, sir.
Wrong weather. Hey, yes, please. National Claims Institute is amazing. I'm putting up the shameless plugs. Morgan with a bad mom joke.
I mean, hey, somebody's got to bring it. It's fine.
I think I missed the joke.
mean,
I think I did too.
I didn't.
It's
You
all
didn't
right.
have a joke, did you? I think he heard one that you didn't even mean to say. That Anthony Hines. Weird. All right, Morgan, I really appreciate you being on and helping us expose a little bit of the bullshit from the insurance carrier side, dealing with delays. If you want more information about the APA, you can go to the website. I'll post up again in just a minute. See if I can scroll back up through it. There we go. You can become a member by going there, Remington, become a professional member. That was specifically for you. Other people, if you aren't currently a member, this is an organization that could use your help. And honestly, they have a fantastic mission. If you're in this industry on the policyholder side, this is something you should probably get involved in. And I'll be honest, if you're in this industry on the carrier side, you should also be involved in this. There's a lot of insurance carrier fraud that you don't want. You don't want to be on the side of that. There's plenty of documentation about fraud on the policyholder side. There's plenty of SEI units that are looking into that. How many people and how many organizations are looking into the carrier side fraud? Be a part of a good change. That's a good place to go. And Morgan's going to say it again.
Coalition!
I think you have to draw out the O, almost like gold.
Coalition!
I'm signing up for the APA right now just because
Perfect.
of what Morgan had to say today and Doug and shouting out. So I'm doing it as we speak, getting it done.
That's good.
I'm ready for the fight, being a part of it.
That's
Awesome.
good because I was actually going to try to get you involved in some of the videos that I'm going to have to make for the APA going forward anyway. So you might as well be a member now, Remington.
I'm doing it right now.
Yeah.
He's doing
Well,
it.
we are thankful to have you, and you're an amazing asset to the team. And I look forward to what you can bring to the table as far as helping us out and seeing what we can collaborate together with.
Awesome. Let's do it, guys.
That sounded like good bullshit. Yeah. All right.
Whatever.
Remington will be just fine. He will be very beneficial to the organization. We definitely like him. That was also good bullshit.
all around, folks.
Very good.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Morgan. And I appreciate the audience for checking us out. I'm going to kick you off in a second, Morgan. If you stick around, we can talk after the show. All right. Cut her off. I'm sure she was going to say goodbye and thank you for being on the show and all those things that people say when they leave. This was kind of a deep show, so I wanted to see if you guys were okay with the show not being so lighthearted sometimes. So if you wouldn't mind putting in the comments some information about that, whether or not you think it's okay for us to be a little bit, I don't know, a little bit more morose about some of the issues and how they bring about problems in the industry. I'd really appreciate it. Also, we're trying out this new time slot, 8 p.m. Is this a good time slot? We'd really like your opinion on that. The 4 p.m. is something that a lot of people have a lot of trouble with. We get a lot more views of our show after it airs than we do live. And we'd really like to have more people live. So let us know if you think 8 p.m. Eastern, whatever time that is for you and whatever time zone you're in, is the right time or not. Or if you think we should try something else out. I'd really like to know that. Next week, see here. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Hey, Matt, I got a text from Michael Turner that says, did I just get name dropped on Listen to This Bull?
Totally did, because you're awesome, Michael Turner.
Completely
You're probably
did.
the best attorney that we're talking about right now.
I love it. Hey, so hey, he's famous. He's famous. Good job,
Yeah.
Matt.
Hey,
Thanks
so
for blowing up my associates' heads. I appreciate it.
oh yeah, no, he's got a big head already. So I mean, physically, not like mentally. So mentally, it'll just grow into that size. It'll be good. I'm sorry, Michael. I couldn't help it. He's a good guy. I screwed
He's
up.
a great guy.
It looks like I screwed up because I updated all of the time on everything on my calendar going forward to start at 8 o'clock, and it kicked everybody off that I had scheduled for future stuff. So now I have to go back and figure out who's been scheduled for future Listen to This bull shows. These are the joys of running a show like this. If you happen to have yourself on the schedule for Listen to This bull as a guest speaker, please reach out to me. That'd be great. Crap. I don't know who's on next week, Remington. Did I tell you who was on earlier by any chance?
Hey, we'll figure it out. We just go with the flow. I could say this. Hey, it was great having Morgan on here. It's great having people like that advocating for the policyholder, whether it's a small loss or a catastrophe. I mean, seriously, I do mean that. It's great to have these types of folks on our side.
Yeah, the APA is very lucky to have someone like Morgan. She absolutely is fantastic for that organization, and she's got a bright future out of her with it. I think that, I don't normally say such glowing things about people, so she should realize that this is one of those things. I don't do this for many people, so take that as a huge compliment. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Let me know if 8 p.m. is the right time or not. I will adjust if more people say no to that, okay? If you like it, let me know so that we can stick it there. But I'll see you guys next Tuesday at probably 8 p.m. because I doubt anybody writes anything down because you guys suck and you're lazy.
See you guys. Take care.
See you guys.
Signing up for APA right now as we speak. Got my card out and everything.
Nice. Can you hold the card up to the camera real quick?
Not right now.